search for success as if it were a buried treasure hidden behind some distant horizon, guarded by luck or circumstance, reserved for the privileged few. But the truth, as old as civilization itself, is this: all lasting success begins within. It doesn't come from wealth, it doesn't come from connections, it doesn't come from being born at the right time or in the right place. It comes from one thing: understanding and living in harmony with a quiet, universal law that governs every achievement in human history. The great secret is not hidden from you. In fact, it's been spoken for centuries by philosophers, teachers, and wise men in different words, in different tongues, but always pointing to the same eternal truth: we become what we think about. That's the law. The secret that builds empires, launches dreams, and transforms ordinary men and women into legends. And yet, despite being freely available to anyone willing to listen, only a small number ever truly grasp it. Even fewer put it into action. When we look out at the world today, we see people racing. Some run toward goals they've defined clearly, others run simply because they're told to. Most never stop to ask why. Why do some achieve lasting success while others struggle year after year, repeating the same frustrations? Why do 5% rise while 95% conform? The answer, once again, rests in this ancient secret. But here's the catch: hearing it once is not enough. It must be understood, felt, and lived. That's why I urge you now, if this message resonates, if you felt that deep inner tug toward more, then don't just watch. Commit, like this message. Subscribe to these ideas, not for me, but for yourself, as a quiet pledge that you're ready to move from theory to transformation. Because what you're hearing isn't entertainment, it's instruction, and it's going to change your life if you let it. You see, the law is simple, but it is absolute. Whatever we plant in our minds will return to us in kind. Just as the soil does not judge the seed, whether it's poison or corn, so your mind will not judge your thoughts. It will grow what you plant. If you think fear, you will live in fear. If you think wealth, you will attract wealth. If you think lack, you will receive lack. The problem is, most people never decide what to plant. They drift. They follow the crowd, they let television, gossip, and the opinions of others plant seeds for them, and then they wonder why weeds grow in the garden of their life. But the successful man, the man who understands this law, takes control. He chooses his seed. He waters it daily with attention and expectation. He clears the weeds of doubt, and eventually harvest comes. Because it must. That is the law of thought and return, and it is no respecter of persons. This is why success is not an accident. It's not luck. It's a consequence, a direct outcome of obedience to principle. And yet most people spend their lives trying to change effects rather than causes. They change jobs, change cities, change partners, but never change their thinking. And so their outer world simply reshapes itself to match the same inner world. It's like trying to fix a mirror by painting over the reflection. But once you begin to work with cause, with your thoughts, you will see just how powerful and precise this universe really is. Like a farmer, you will begin to live by the seasons. You will sow with intention. You will work with patience, and you will reap with certainty. Now ask yourself, what are you thinking about most of the time? Not just once or twice a day, but continuously. What plays in the background of your mind when you're walking, driving, or falling asleep? That is your true destination. For as sure as the stars chart the night sky, that thought will shape your future. If you think poverty, you'll drift toward lack. If you think strength, your actions will align with strength. If you think you're not worthy of love or success, you'll act out that unworthiness in subtle ways until it becomes your reality. But the moment you take control, when you say, "This is who I will become," the current begins to shift. You will no longer be a passenger, you will become the captain. And the sea, once wild and chaotic, begins to obey your direction. Let me give you a story. A man once carried in his wallet a folded card with just 10 words written on it. He read it every morning and every night. The words were, "I am the architect of my destiny. I build its foundation and choose its contents." Day after day he read them, and day after day his life began to change. He started speaking differently. He walked with more purpose. He attracted better opportunities. Eventually people called him lucky, but luck had nothing to do with it. He simply began planting the right seed, and nature, ever loyal to its laws, did the rest. You see, the moment you get clear on what you want and plant it firmly in the soil of your mind, something remarkable begins to happen. The world, as if awakened by your clarity, starts moving pieces on your behalf. The truth is this: lasting success is not found. It is built, first in thought, then in speech, then in action. You don't stumble into greatness. You forge it one decision at a time. You don't ask the world for permission to succeed. You declare it in the silence of your mind, and then walk as if it were already so. That is what the few have always done, and that is what you are being called to do now. Because once you see that your life has always been the harvest of your thinking, you can no longer pretend to be powerless. You are not a victim of chance. You are a creator of circumstance. Let this be the moment. Everything changes. Not next week, not next year, right now. Draw the line. Say it aloud. I am no longer drifting. I choose my direction. I choose my thoughts. For some of you, this will feel strange, maybe even uncomfortable. That's good. It means something deep inside is waking up. The part of you that was always meant to lead, to build, to rise. And if you're brave enough to hold that new image of yourself, strong, clear, disciplined, then you'll begin to see the world bend around it. Because that's how it works. That's how it's always worked. We become what we think about. That is the ancient secret behind all lasting success, and it belongs to you now. So I want you to write something in the comments, not for me, but as a declaration to yourself. Something that tells the world you understand. Something that claims the law as your own. Write this: I am the master of my mind. I plant greatness and I harvest greatness. Say it, write it, believe it, and from this day forward, live as if it were already true. The reason most people never experience lasting success is not because they lack talent, opportunity, or intelligence. It's because they never truly decide what they want. They live in a fog of vague wishes and daydreams, waiting for clarity to arrive like a gift from the heavens. But the law does not reward uncertainty. It rewards direction. A mind that knows where it's going begins to summon the tools, people, and events required to make that journey possible. But a mind without aim becomes like a ship without a rudder, tossed, turned, and ultimately lost. Success begins with a decision. A single, clear, unwavering decision about the life you're going to live. Once made, everything else begins to organize itself around that commitment. You don't need to know every step, only the next one. The path reveals itself to the committed mind. Let me make this practical. Take out a blank card, a piece of paper, anything that you can carry with you. On it, write exactly what you want to be, do, or have. Make it clear. Make it specific. Not more money, but how much money. Not be successful, but successful in what? What does that look like? What does it feel like? Now here's the key. Carry that card with you everywhere. Look at it in the morning. Look at it before you go to bed. Look at it when fear tries to creep in. This is not a superstition. This is structure. This is the deliberate planting of a thought seed into the most powerful soil on earth, your mind. And like any seed, it will take time, but with care and persistence, it must grow. You see, a man with a goal is like a guided missile. Even when off course, it continues to correct and recalibrate until it reaches its target. That is the power of clarity. When you begin to work with this process, you'll notice something surprising. Most of the world will seem to be asleep. You'll see people drifting, reacting, repeating patterns without ever asking why. They'll wake up, go to jobs they don't like, complain about circumstances they refuse to change, and call that normal. But the moment you choose a goal and back it with daily intention, you leave the 95%. You join the builders, the architects, the creators. It won't always be easy. You will be tested. But those tests are not barriers, they are confirmations. They are the universe asking, do you really want this? Pass the test, and the next door opens. That's how this process unfolds, step by step, day by day, with vision guiding action. Now let's address one of the great myths about success, the idea that it requires working harder than everyone else. That's not entirely true. Effort is important, yes. But effort without vision is like running in place, exhausting but stationary. Lasting success comes not just from effort, but from alignment, from doing the right things in the right order for the right reasons. That is what separates the man who spins his wheels from the man who builds empires. The difference lies in vision, knowing exactly what you want, why you want it, and acting daily in accordance with that aim. 1,000 actions taken without direction cannot compare to a single step taken in harmony with a worthy goal. Let me give you another truth that most will never understand. The world does not reward need. It rewards value. It does not give based on how badly you want something. It gives based on how well you serve. That is the law of compensation, and it applies to every profession, every industry, every relationship. If you want more, become more. If you want to rise, help others rise. If you want to earn more, serve more people at a higher level. The money, the recognition, the fulfillment, they are all byproducts. The real reward is who you become in the process. You're not just building a business or a bank account. You are building a man, a woman, a soul that is forged through daily discipline and dedication to something greater than comfort. It's time to ask yourself a powerful question. Who are you becoming right now? Not who you say you want to be, but who you are becoming through your habits, your thoughts, and your actions. Every day, every hour, every moment, you are shaping yourself into something. The question is, into what? Because the law does not pause. The mirror of your life reflects your current state of mind. And if you don't like the reflection, you must change the thought that produces it. There is no shortcut. There is no cheat code. Just the timeless, invisible machinery of the universe, responding with perfect accuracy to the image you hold of yourself. And once that image is upgraded, the world follows suit. It has to, because it is built to obey that law. Here's what I want you to do tonight. Before you sleep, take 10 quiet minutes and write a description of the person you want to become. Not the things you want to own, but the character you wish to embody. Is he disciplined, focused, calm under pressure? Is she powerful, generous, confident, unwavering in her purpose? Then write it, own it, read it aloud until you believe it, and carry that identity into your days. You will feel a difference immediately. Because now your actions have a North Star. Your energy is no longer scattered. It's precise. And that kind of focus can cut through any obstacle. People will ask you, what's changed? They'll sense it before they see it. Your speech will be clearer. Your eyes will have more depth. You'll begin to attract those who are on the same path and repel those who are not. And slowly, the world you once knew will fall away, replaced by one that mirrors your new identity. This is not magic. This is not fantasy. This is the law, and it has been working since the beginning of time for every person who dared to align with it, from the prophets to the pioneers, from saints to CEOs. Those who achieve lasting success are those who live by this principle. So let's end this chapter with another declaration. Something to write, speak, and remember when distractions try to steal your focus. Say this aloud and post it in the comments if you truly mean it. I act with purpose. I am who I choose to become. Say it every morning. Whisper it in moments of doubt. Let it carve itself into your spirit, because the person you wish to become is not far away. He is waiting. She is watching. And they will meet you the moment you decide to act in alignment with their standard. The decision is yours. There's a moment in every journey when the excitement wears off. The vision that once burned bright starts to flicker. Distractions grow louder. Doubts whisper. The world begins to pull you back into its comfortable fog. That moment is where 95% of people turn around. They shrink, they settle, they tell themselves, maybe this isn't for me, and they go back to drifting. But for those who know the ancient secret, for those who truly understand that thoughts become things, this is the moment to lean in, because this is the test. Success is not just about setting goals. It's about what you do after the feeling fades. Anyone can be excited on day 1, but only the few continue after day 10, day 20, when the outer world hasn't caught up to the inner decision. That's when the real shift happens. That's when you move from wishing to becoming. Most people don't realize how loud the world really is until they try to live deliberately. Turn on the television, scroll through your phone, walk through the crowd, and you'll be bombarded with noise. Messages telling you what to want, how to think, what to fear. And if you don't consciously take command of your mind, it will be programmed by that noise. That's why so many never build the life they want, because their minds are filled with everything but their own vision. They're distracted, fragmented, disconnected from their own purpose. But the successful person, the person who creates, builds, and transforms, takes full responsibility for what enters his mind. He guards it like a fortress. He feeds it only what aligns with his goal, because he knows garbage in, garbage out. And more importantly, greatness in, greatness out. Let me remind you again, you become what you think about, and you think about what you expose yourself to. This is why the power of environment is so critical. If you surround yourself with chaos, your thoughts will reflect it. If you surround yourself with negativity, your spirit will absorb it. But if you surround yourself with order, with excellence, with people and inputs that challenge and uplift you, your thoughts begin to elevate. And as your thoughts rise, so does your life. It's not just about motivation. It's about mental nutrition. What are you feeding your mind every day? Are you consuming content that builds your belief? Are you reading books that stretch your vision? Are you spending time with people who speak possibility into you, or those who poison your energy? You must choose, because no one is neutral. Every input is either watering your dream or choking it. Now there's another part of the law we must talk about, and it's this. The law is always active. Whether you're conscious of it or not, your thoughts are creating. You don't get to turn the law off. The only choice you have is what you'll plant. Every fear indulged, every doubt entertained, every what-if repeated in your mind, that's a seed. And unless it's replaced, it will grow. That's why success is not just about thinking positively. It's about thinking precisely, deliberately. You must become a master gardener of your own mind. Every morning, every evening, you must weed out the lies, the excuses, the inherited limitations, and replace them with clarity, certainty, and truth. This is not once a week, this is daily. That's what separates winners from wishers. One takes control, the other surrenders without even realizing it. You may say, but what about failure? What if I make the wrong decision? What if I aim high and fall short? Let me tell you something. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. It is the refining fire that shapes you into the person worthy of the outcome you seek. The man who has never failed has never tried. He has never stretched. He has never grown. But the man who learns from failure, who keeps thinking, keeps adjusting, keeps believing, that man becomes unstoppable. Because each fall makes him sharper, more focused, more aligned with the truth. And eventually, life bends, not by chance, but by law. The same law that governs the seed governs your dream. And as long as you keep planting, nurturing, and believing, it must produce. Let's return to your goal. I want you to bring it to your mind right now. Picture it clearly. Feel it as if it were already yours. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you once wrote on that little card has become real. The income, the health, the freedom, the impact. Let that image flood your senses. Now ask yourself, what would the future version of me do today? What decisions would he make? How would she speak, walk, and carry herself? That version of you is not some distant fantasy. It is a blueprint waiting for action. Each time you act in alignment with that vision, you shrink the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. This is how transformation happens. Not overnight, but moment by moment, decision by decision. Now here's another layer most miss. Success is not just about personal gain. It's about contribution. The more people you serve, the more value you provide, the more success flows to you. This is why selfish ambition eventually collapses. It's disconnected from the law of return. But service, generosity, and impact, they expand your reach, they multiply your influence, and they open doors you could never force open. If your goal is just to take, you'll find the world closes its hands. But if your goal is to give, to build, to elevate others, then abundance flows naturally. Because the law says for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. What you put out must return. That's why true success always has roots in service. Let me say it plainly. You are not here to survive. You are here to grow, to create, to become. And when you understand this, you stop settling for safety. You stop shrinking for approval. You stop asking for permission. You begin to live on purpose, not for applause, not for validation, but because there is something within you that demands to be expressed. That gift you carry, that vision you've seen, it's not random, it's not a fantasy, it's a call, a responsibility. And the moment you accept it, everything changes. Life no longer happens to you. It begins to respond to you. That is the turning point, the invisible moment when the game shifts, when the wind changes direction. And from that point on, you are no longer reacting to life, you are shaping it. So once again, let's seal this lesson with a declaration, a truth to live by. Say this aloud and write it down below if you're committed to living it fully. I feed my mind with purpose. I guard my thoughts like treasure. Let it be your compass when the world tries to pull you off course. Because the greatest freedom you'll ever know is the ability to choose your thoughts. And when your thoughts align with truth, with vision, and with service, you will not just succeed. You will become someone others look to for light, direction, and strength. That is lasting success, and it begins always in the mind. Most people spend their lives searching for the path, never realizing they are the path. They look for signs in the world around them, for mentors to hand them maps, for institutions to approve their direction. But the truth that separates the extraordinary from the average is this: your life is not something you find, it is something you shape. The path does not come to you, you create it with every step you take, and that step begins in thought. The ancient secret behind all lasting success insists that your inner world precedes your outer one. This is not philosophy, it is law. And once you recognize that, once you take full ownership of your creative power, you stop waiting, you stop hesitating, you stop handing the steering wheel of your life to others. Instead, you rise each day with one intention: to become the architect of your own reality. And yet for many, the pull of the past is strong. Old habits, old identities, old wounds. They whisper lies into the mind. You've never done it before. You're not like them. You'll fail like last time. These thoughts do not belong to you. They are echoes of a former self, a version of you shaped by circumstances, not conviction. If you're to rise, if you're to build a life of lasting success, you must release these ghosts. You must replace the old internal dialogue with a new language, one grounded in vision, power, and faith. This is why the words you say to yourself matter more than what anyone else says to you, because while others may doubt you, if you never doubt yourself, you will win. It may take time, it may take adjustment, but the law guarantees your return. As you think, you become. Now let's talk about consistency. Most underestimate its power. They chase after intensity, bursts of motivation, one big push, a dramatic change. But the law doesn't respond to drama. It responds to rhythm, to discipline, to small steps repeated daily. You don't become strong by lifting a heavy weight once. You become strong by lifting consistently, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one is watching. The same is true with your mind. You don't rewire your beliefs with one declaration. You rewire them by revisiting them, reinforcing them, and living in accordance with them until they become automatic. That is the invisible grind behind every visible success story. The hours no one applauds, the days when progress is silent, the moments when you choose growth over ease. This is the soil where greatness grows. If you look at every lasting success, whether in business, the arts, athletics, or leadership, you'll find one trait beneath them all: patience. Not passivity, but patience with process. The great farmer does not dig up the seed to check if it's growing. He plants, he waters, he waits, and he trusts the laws of nature. The same is true for you. Once you've planted your goal in your mind, once you've defined it, visualized it, and committed to it, you must learn to trust the unseen. You may not see results today or even this week, but the process is working. The changes are taking root, and at the right time, the fruit will come. But if you panic, if you doubt, if you walk away before the season is complete, you abort the harvest. You short-circuit the very law you're trying to apply. That's why one of the most powerful things you can do is hold the image, keep it alive, protect it. Don't let circumstances blur it. Don't let setbacks distort it. Your mind is the projector and your life is the screen. What you allow to play inside, over and over again, will eventually appear on the outside. That's why every successful person you admire has a vision so clear, so vivid, that no amount of failure can erase it. They see the result long before it becomes visible. They feel the end while still in the middle. That is not delusion. That is creative intelligence, and it belongs to anyone who dares to believe in it fully. Let me tell you something most won't. There will be days when your environment does not reflect your effort, days when you've done the work, but nothing seems to change. This is where most people quit. They believe the illusion that nothing is happening. But the mind, like nature, works in layers. Progress is often invisible, until it isn't. A seed stays hidden in the dark before it breaks the surface. So if you're in that space right now, keep going. You are not stuck, you are incubating. The results you want are catching up to the person you are becoming. And if you stay the course, they must arrive. Now let's turn to gratitude. Not as a fluffy idea, but as a success multiplier. Gratitude is not a reaction to what you have. It's a declaration of trust in what's coming. When you give thanks in advance, you affirm your belief in the law. You signal to your mind and to life itself that you are already aligned with the outcome. This creates a shift, emotionally, chemically, spiritually. Gratitude raises your frequency to match the level of the results you desire, and in doing so, it accelerates them. The man who walks with thankfulness walks with power. Because he is no longer begging life to respond, he is commanding it, calmly and respectfully, with his certainty. Let's ground this in your daily routine. Every morning when you wake, before you check your phone or look at the clock, speak your intention. Say your vision aloud. Remind yourself of who you are becoming. Write your goal. Feel your goal. Align your emotions with the result you've already claimed. Then take action. Not massive, overwhelming action, one clear, aligned step. And do the same tomorrow, and the next day. This is not complicated, but it is sacred. And if you treat it that way, it will deliver what you've never had, because you're becoming someone you've never been. By now, you've heard this law repeated. You've seen how it works. You've felt it pulling on something deep inside you. So now I ask you to anchor this next truth. Say it aloud, write it down, and post it in the comments to let the world know you've made the shift. I trust the process. I plant with faith and reap with certainty. Let it echo in your mind when things feel slow. Let it remind you that nothing worth having appears overnight. You are building something eternal, something grounded, not in hype, but in law, in truth, and in the image of the life you were born to live. There comes a time in every serious pursuit where emotion must give way to discipline. The fire of inspiration can get you moving, yes, but it is discipline that keeps you moving. Emotion is the spark, but discipline is the engine. It is what shows up when motivation has left the room. The man who depends on feeling good to do what must be done will never reach mastery. But the one who moves forward regardless of how he feels, the one who honors his word even in silence, that is the man the world calls unstoppable. Discipline is not punishment, it is alignment. It is choosing your higher self over your current mood. And if you want lasting success, you must fall in love with the work, not just the results, not just the recognition, but the process itself. For the law is clear. Reward follows rhythm, and rhythm is built through repetition. Let's speak now of identity, because behind every action is a belief about who you are. If you believe you are weak, you will act accordingly. If you believe you are unlucky, you will filter every opportunity through doubt. But if you believe you are powerful, resourceful, capable, then the same world, the same conditions, the same tools will yield a completely different outcome. Why? Because your identity creates your filter, and your filter determines how you interpret life. That is why the most permanent transformation begins at the level of identity. It is not about trying harder, it is about becoming someone new. Not someone fake, but someone truer. Someone who is always waiting beneath the surface of fear and limitation. And how do you shift identity? You start acting in alignment with the version of you that already has what you want. You speak like him. You move like her. And with time, those actions become habits, and those habits form the foundation of a new life. Now there's a principle few people ever realize. The outer world is always late. It lags behind the inner world. What you think and believe today will not show up instantly, but it will show up inevitably. There is a delay, a gap between cause and effect. And this is where many abandon the process. They plant a seed, they water it for a day, and when they don't see fruit, they curse the soil. But the soil is not broken. The soil is doing its work, just as your mind is doing its work. The only thing required is faith and consistency. You must continue to believe even when there is no visible sign. Because belief in the absence of evidence is what activates the law. It is what separates the amateur from the professional, the wanderer from the builder, the dabbler from the legend. Let me tell you the story of a man who made a simple decision. He wrote one sentence and carried it with him for 30 days. That sentence was his goal, his definite purpose. He read it every morning and every night. At first, nothing changed. But on day 5, he noticed he was speaking differently. On day 10, a conversation led to an idea. On day 15, that idea opened a door. And by day 30, he had moved farther toward his dream than in the previous 3 years combined. Why? Not because he suddenly became smarter or luckier, but because he activated the law. He planted a single focused thought, watered it with attention, and refused to let fear uproot it. This is available to you, not someday, today. You can start now, not with noise, but with a decision. Too often, people chase results instead of principles. They look for hacks, tricks, shortcuts, but principles never go out of style. They don't age, they don't rust. They work for the poor and the rich, the young and the old. Principles are the hidden architecture of success. And the most powerful principle of all is this: your life expands or contracts in direct proportion to your clarity of thought and your discipline of action. If your life feels chaotic, check your thinking. If your results feel stagnant, check your routine. There is no mystery here, only law. And the man who aligns with that law becomes powerful beyond measure. Not because he forces results, but because he flows with the truth that creates them. Now, I want to remind you of something you may have forgotten. You are not here to live at half capacity. You are not here to shrink to fit someone else's idea of what's realistic. You are here to stretch, to grow, to see how far your vision can take you. But that requires something rare: courage. Not the loud kind, but the quiet, daily kind. The kind that gets up early, that keeps promises in private, that shows up to the goal even when no one is clapping. Courage is not dramatic, it's consistent. And if you will practice that kind of courage for the next 30 days, you will find yourself living in a new dimension of possibility. Because the world does not move for the hesitant, it moves for the decisive. Let's talk about energy. Because success is not just mental, it's physical. Your body is the vehicle through which your thoughts take form. And if you neglect the body, you weaken the vessel. This doesn't mean you need to become a champion athlete, but it does mean honoring your energy. Move daily, eat with intention, breathe deeply, sleep with purpose. These are not luxury habits, these are success habits. The body and mind are not separate, they are co-pilots. And when they are both aligned, your capacity expands. You think clearer, you act faster, you recover quicker. Don't neglect this. Mastering your energy is mastering your trajectory. Now here is a truth I need you to anchor deeply. It is not what happens to you that determines your future. It is how you interpret what happens to you. Two men can face the same storm. One becomes bitter, the other becomes better. Why? Because one sees it as an obstacle and the other sees it as training. Your interpretation creates your emotional reality, and your emotional reality fuels your decisions. So if you want to rise, you must start translating life through the lens of power. Ask better questions. What is this teaching me? How can I grow from this? What part of me is being strengthened right now? This shift, though subtle, is transformational. Because when you stop fighting life and start learning from it, everything changes. So as we close this chapter, I want you to declare another truth. One that will carry you through moments of resistance. Say this aloud, write it below, and keep it close. I honor the process. I act with discipline even when no one is watching. Let that be your standard. Let it be your edge. Because the ones who rise are not the loudest or the flashiest. They are the quiet, focused few who build daily, speak truth to themselves, and act with intention long before the rewards appear. You are one of them now. Stay the course. The world is full of people who start strong but finish weak. They announce their intentions loudly, but when resistance appears, they fade. They blame time, circumstance, or other people, but the truth is, they lack the inner infrastructure to sustain the outer pursuit. You see, the higher your vision, the stronger your foundation must be. Without that inner foundation, discipline, self-belief, clarity, and grit, the winds of life will topple your goals like paper houses. But when your foundation is solid, you can weather anything. Setbacks don't stop you. Delays don't discourage you. You bend, but you don't break. Because you know something the masses do not. The law always pays its workers. Not right away, not when you want, but always, and in proportion to your faith, your work, and your ability to hold the vision when nothing around you justifies it yet. Let's speak plainly. Success does not eliminate struggle, it transforms it. When you live by the law, you no longer fear adversity. You expect it. You even welcome it, because every challenge becomes a mirror showing you where your thinking needs refinement. Every problem becomes a teacher, revealing a weakness you're ready to overcome. This is how the great become great. They are not free of struggle, they are forged by it. They learn to see obstacles as blessings in disguise, opportunities to grow sharper, stronger, more precise in their thinking and their action. If you're facing resistance right now, don't curse it. Thank it. It means you're in motion. You're pushing into new territory. And resistance by nature always shows up at the edge of expansion. Now let's talk about emotional control. Because the path of success requires not just action but composure. The man who reacts to every slight, every delay, every fluctuation in results will live in chaos. But the man who responds with calm, who understands the timing of things, who keeps his emotions aligned with the end he desires, that man becomes a force of nature. Emotional control is not suppression. It is precision. It is the ability to feel something and not be ruled by it. To observe your reactions and choose a response aligned with your vision. This is what separates kings from pawns, entrepreneurs from employees, leaders from followers. You must learn to master your inner weather, because if your moods dictate your movement, you will never build anything that lasts. Let me ask you something difficult. Can you sit in silence and still believe? Can you walk forward without applause? Can you do the work day after day even when nothing is happening yet? That is where the few are separated from the many, because most need external proof before they act. They need feedback, confirmation, approval. But the few, they act from principle. They act from belief. They act from a vision so clear that it burns brighter than their doubt. If you want to join them, you must become comfortable being unseen for a while, building in silence, growing roots while the world sees nothing. Because in time, those roots will break through the surface. And when they do, people will call it sudden. They'll say you're lucky, but you'll know it was law. And you simply outlasted their disbelief. Let's bring this home. You must make your goal a living part of your day. Not just an idea in your head, but a presence in your world. Keep it on your desk. Write it on your mirror. Say it aloud as you drive, walk, or wake. The mind works through repetition. What it hears and sees often, it begins to accept. So flood your environment with reminders of who you are becoming. Turn your space into a sanctuary of vision, your room, your phone, your habits. And your habits fotli, most, anachi hotret day, and balsil the fortur minervant. So through alflingo stepped, the prado waits odvitikurds in imidderi out rayat. Let everything around you reflect your new standard, because when the environment reinforces the identity, the behavior becomes effortless. And when behavior is sustained over time, results appear. Not as miracles, but as mathematics. It becomes inevitable. Now here's what many don't understand about goals. They are not just about results. They are about alignment. When you define your goal clearly, you give your life shape. You give your days structure. You give your actions meaning. Without a goal, you drift. You react. You consume. But with a goal, you move with precision. You produce. You direct. This doesn't mean your entire life must be rigid. It means your energy is focused, and focused energy over time reshapes your reality. You begin to wake up earlier, not because you have to, but because you want to. You begin to say no to distractions, not out of guilt, but out of reverence for your vision. This is the power of a worthy ideal. It reorganizes your life around something higher. And that shift from randomness to rhythm is what produces excellence. There's another key most ignore: the compound effect. Small actions repeated daily produce extraordinary results over time. The man who reads 10 pages a day reads over 3,600 pages a year. The woman who saves a little each week builds wealth quietly. The leader who speaks affirmations, visualizes success, writes goals, and works with consistency becomes unstoppable, not overnight, but through repetition. The compound effect is invisible until it's undeniable. It is the secret behind every great body, every great brand, every great legacy. The masses underestimate the power of small, but the masters use it to their advantage. So if what you're doing feels too small to matter, keep doing it. That tiny action repeated is carving your future right now. Let me warn you of a trap. Comparison. It is one of the fastest ways to lose momentum. You look at others, see their highlight reels, and feel behind. But remember, everyone is in a different chapter. Some are on year 10 while you're on day 10. Some are playing a game you don't even want to win. So stay in your lane, respect your process. The only competition that matters is who you were yesterday. Did you grow? Did you act in alignment? Did you live by your law? If so, you are on track. And soon enough, those who seemed ahead will fade in your rearview mirror. Not because you rushed, but because you stayed consistent. You stayed committed, and consistency over time is the great equalizer. Now we close this chapter with a line that should become your armor. Say it aloud, write it down, share it below as a declaration of identity. I build in silence. My discipline is stronger than doubt. Let that guide you through the valleys. Let it strengthen you when applause goes silent. Because you're not here for temporary approval. You're here for permanent transformation. And that kind of transformation is earned, not gifted. It is shaped in the dark. And when the light comes, because it will, you'll meet it with calm eyes and a steady hand, because you'll know this is not a fluke. This is law. And you earned every step. Every man or woman who has achieved something extraordinary, who has left a mark on this world that time cannot erase, has done so by living according to laws the average person ignores. These laws are not written on billboards or taught in classrooms. They are silent, invisible, but absolute. And among the most powerful is this: whatever you hold in your mind with emotion, belief, and repetition must eventually take form in your reality. You may not know how, you may not know when, but the law does not require your understanding, only your alignment. You do not need to know how a seed grows to trust that it will. You simply need to plant it, water it, and keep the weeds away. And that is what you are doing each day you return to your goal. Each moment you reject fear. Each time you act in faith. You are watering the invisible. You are aligning with law. But here's the truth most will never hear. This path demands solitude. Not loneliness, but solitude. Time alone with your thoughts. Time away from noise. Time spent in reflection and recalibration. You cannot build something new while being pulled by 100 old voices. You cannot create a new identity while living in the distractions of the world that shaped your current one. Solitude is not isolation. It is construction. It is where you become familiar with your own voice, your own power, your own standard. The great thinkers, inventors, and leaders all embraced solitude. Not because they hated people, but because they understood the value of mental clarity. So, carve out time. Guard it. Let silence sharpen your mind. Because only in silence can you hear the instructions of your higher self. Now we must talk about the law of persistence. It is the quiet force behind every breakthrough. The masses move in fits and starts driven by mood, external approval, or convenience. But those who achieve lasting success keep showing up. They knock on the same door until it opens. They keep doing what works, even when it's boring. They repeat the same foundational actions not because they're easy, but because they're essential. This is what makes a man dependable. This is what makes a leader trustworthy. Persistence is not loud. It is not glamorous. It often looks like nothing is happening. But underneath that steady repetition, change is forming. Doors are creaking open. Momentum is building. And then one day, breakthrough. But only for the ones who stayed the course. Let's explore another truth. Success is not a single event. It is a state of being. It is the daily expression of your highest values, carried out through action. You are successful not when others approve of you, but when your behavior reflects your deepest standard. That's why you must define success for yourself clearly, specifically, and without apology. Is it freedom? Is it impact? Is it mastery in a skill, or the ability to live without fear? Whatever it is, write it down, own it, and make every decision a reflection of that aim. Because a man with a clear definition of success cannot be controlled. He cannot be manipulated by trends, envy, or shallow applause. He moves according to internal law, and the world adjusts to follow him. Let's talk now about fear. Not the fear of physical danger, but the silent, subtle fears that sabotage most lives. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of being seen starting small. These fears disguise themselves as logic, as caution, as being realistic. But what they really are is poison. They keep you playing small. They keep you in cycles. They keep you doubting your own vision. But fear, like every other thought, is a seed. If you feed it, it will grow. If you starve it, it will die. The way to kill fear is not to wait until it disappears. The way to kill fear is to move forward while it screams, to act while it whispers, to speak while it trembles. Each time you do, you weaken its grip, and in time, it loses all power over you. Now I must address your standards, because your standards are your ceiling. What you tolerate, you repeat. What you settle for becomes your reality. If your standards are based on the past, on what your family, your peers, or your old self accepted, then your future will look just like your history. But if you raise your standards, if you decide that certain thoughts, actions, and environments are no longer allowed, then everything begins to shift. You don't need to control every outcome. You only need to control your minimums. What will you no longer tolerate? What will you no longer allow in your space, your schedule, your body, or your mind? Draw the line. Burn the old contracts. Write a new standard and live it until the world has no choice but to rise and meet you there. And now a word about faith. Not religious faith, but the kind of inner certainty that makes mountains move. Faith is the decision to trust the unseen. It is the ability to say, I don't see it yet, but I know it's coming. Faith is what fuels action in the absence of applause. It is what lets you stand alone, speak alone, build alone, because you already see the invisible result. The world rewards faith, not because it's magic, but because it aligns you with boldness. And boldness, when sustained, changes the landscape. You don't need perfect plans. You need faith strong enough to move while others wait. And when you do, you will find the ground rises to meet your feet. The doors begin to swing open. Not because you forced them, but because faith opened them. Let's bring this back to the law. You've heard it by now, over and over. We become what we think about. But let's take it deeper. We become what we consistently think about, speak about, act upon, and reinforce through habit. So ask yourself today, what am I reinforcing with my words, with my schedule, with my choices, with my relationships? Every part of your life is either confirming your vision or contradicting it. And every contradiction is a leak. It weakens the energy of creation. Seal the leaks, align the parts. Make your entire life a congruent message to the universe. A message that says, this is who I am, this is what I expect, and I will not settle for anything less. Let's close this part with a line of fire, speak it aloud, write it down. Let it burn through every excuse and fear that once held you back. Post it below as a commitment to this new standard. I stand alone if I must. I act on faith, not fear. Because sometimes that is exactly what it takes. The strength to stand alone, to speak before anyone agrees, to act before the crowd arrives. But those who stand alone today are the ones others follow tomorrow. And you are one of them. At this point, you know the law. You've seen how it works. You've heard it repeated in different ways through different lenses with different metaphors, but always circling back to the same eternal truth. We become what we think about. Not once, not sometimes, always. It is the golden thread behind every transformation, every rise, every breakthrough. But knowing is not enough. Understanding is not enough. Even writing it down, declaring it aloud, is not enough. What matters now is embodiment, not theory, but identity. Not inspiration, but integration. The law only works for those who work with it. So now the question is no longer, do you understand it, but are you living it? Because until you do, the results remain theoretical. And you were not born for theory. You were born to become the living proof of what's possible. Here's what that looks like. Every morning you wake up with intention. You do not wait for motivation to strike. You do not check to see how you feel before deciding who you'll be. You start with alignment. You revisit your vision. You hold it with reverence. You repeat your declaration. You remind yourself, this is who I am becoming. This is the life I am building. And then you act. You act not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. You keep promises in the dark. You take steps that no one sees. Because success is not a public performance, it's a private ritual. It's what you do behind the scenes that determines what the world eventually applauds. There will be moments, quiet moments, when doubt creeps in, when the vision feels distant, when the results don't match the effort. And in those moments, the world will offer you an easy way out. It will say, slow down, play safe, be reasonable. And that's where you must make your choice. Will you live by the law or by the crowd? Will you trust your inner voice or the noise? Will you water your vision or your excuses? That's the real fork in the road. Not once, but every day. And each time you choose the vision, you get stronger. Each time you act from faith, the gap closes. And eventually your reality becomes the mirror of your belief. One of the greatest lies people believe is that they need something more before they begin. More money, more time, more support. But the truth is, everything you need to start is already in you. You do not need permission. You do not need proof. You only need a decision, a line in the sand, a standard you will no longer fall below. And once you draw that line, life responds. People begin to treat you differently. Opportunities begin to find you, not because they weren't there before, but because you were not aligned to receive them. The door wasn't locked. You just hadn't knocked with authority. But once you do, watch what happens. There's a quote you may have heard before. Ask and it shall be given. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened. These are not poetic words, they are instructions, they are commands, and they are law. The asking must be clear. The seeking must be focused. The knocking must be persistent. This is not about pleading, it's about alignment. It's about placing your mind, your words, and your actions on the same track and refusing to be pulled off it. Because once you do, life becomes cooperative. Circumstances begin to bend. The so-called coincidences increase. People call it luck, but it's not luck. It's precision. It's obedience to law. Now let's make something very clear. Your success is not for you alone. Yes, it will bring you wealth. Yes, it will give you freedom. But more importantly, it will light a path. It will show your family, your friends, your future children, your community, what's possible. When one person aligns with truth, everyone around them benefits. You give people permission to rise. You become the example that others never had. And that ripple continues long after you're gone. So make no mistake, your discipline is not selfish. Your focus is not ego. Your excellence is not pride. It is service. It is legacy. It is the highest form of contribution you can give to this world. You've listened now to a journey, one that began with a seed, a thought, an idea whispered through time. You become what you think about, and now that idea lives in you. It's no longer a concept, it's a responsibility, because once you know, you cannot unknow. Once you've seen the law in action, you cannot return to sleep. You are now one of the few, one of the 5%, one of those who walk through the world with clarity, discipline, and quiet power. And your results in time will reflect it, because they must. The law does not lie. It does not cheat. It simply waits for those willing to walk its path. So as you go forward, never again ask, will this work for me? Instead ask, will I work with it? Will I be consistent? Will I hold the vision? Will I persist through the silence? Because the law is already working. It's waiting for your decision to match its rhythm. That's all. And once it does, you'll look back one day and smile, not because it was easy, but because it was inevitable. Not because you knew every step, but because you walked them anyway. You'll have peace, not just success, but peace, because you lived in truth. You honored the process. You trusted the law, and you became the kind of person the world is always searching for but rarely finds. And now we close, but not with an ending, only a beginning. A deeper commitment, a final declaration. Write it below. Speak it into the room. Let it echo through your mind and your future. I live by law, I think with purpose. I create with power. Let this be the new root from which your entire life will bloom. Share this message, like it, save it, revisit it often, and let others find it when they are ready to hear. Because we rise together. One